Hello and welcome to the Sliding Doors podcast. Here for another episode. We're joined by an illustrious guest this week, my friend Jack Nolan. So Jack is actually kind of responsible for launching this podcast in a way. In that I'd had the idea for a while, and then Jack reached out to me on LinkedIn about coming on his podcast, and it really kind of set the wheels in motion of giving mine a go. And I'm glad to say Jack's joining us today. So hello, Jack.
Oh, thank you, Rob, mate. It's an honour to be here today. It's a pleasure. Can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Perfect. So let's kick straight into the kind of the first category. So it's all around kind of love, relationships. You know, what are your kind of what if moment around that, or sliding doors moment?
Well, my sliding doors moment is because I'm still a young lad, Rob. You know what I mean? I'm 25 years old, and I'm trying my idea. I chase girls at the weekend, and I'm professional from Monday to Friday. You know what I mean? So that's my sort of way of looking at things. And when I look back in my life, I think there's been a few missed opportunities. Well, not a few. There's been one sort of missed opportunity where there was this beautiful girl, and she was into me. I knew she was into me, and I was like, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm still sort of playing the field, trying to keep. I like being a single. I like going out with my mates. I didn't want to get locked down into any relationships because I sort of just came out of hospital, and I just thought I've just lost this relationship, 5 years with my ex-partner, and I thought I don't really want to get into another relationship just too soon for me. It was, but I scroll through Instagram and I see pictures of her and I think, I missed out there. I missed that. I should have just said yeah. You know what I mean? I should just give it a go. Should have went on a few dates. Should have seen what could have come from it. You know what I mean? Because she's with someone now, and it's when you scroll through the Instagram thing and you think, oh bloody hell, that could have been me. That, but
so how did that kind of start? Was that was that kind of internet dating? Was that just in the pub? How did that even start?
Yeah, really, in the pub, yeah. Just like back in, how it was back in the day, I suppose. Just going out, going out on the hunt with your boys and that. I mean, you're fishing out, you're drinking your pints and you're looking about, and you're like, yeah, she's all right. And then next minute, you sort of looked, sort of liked each other, sort of chatting and that. And she even bought me a pint, and I was like, oh, right, this is a bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like this one. But I just want, 100% ready at that time to jump into seeing people and stuff like that. So that's my big moment there when I look back and I think, oh, could have been me that.
and you're right. Obviously, I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm sure most lads watching this video will be able to relate to that in terms of, like you say, you're out with your pals, you see a nice girl, and then like you say, she buys you a pint. That's a bit unusual, isn't it? So
it's good though.
Yeah, you're gonna get that one.
Rob, listen, you gotta love this, right? I'm in the pub again. I see her. She's with a new fella and that. She comes up to me, says hello. You're like, oh, you're right. And I can tell that she likes me when you get the vibes, don't you? You get the vibes. But she's with a new fella and that. And I'm like, all right, okay, nice to meet you, mate. All right, lad. Blah 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 blah. Guess what she does? Buys me another pint.
No way.
She buys me another thing. I'm like, oh, sound. You know what I mean? But it's just one of them where you think, yeah, maybe in the future if something goes wrong, you never know. I might slide in there.
So, like you say, you're still connected on Instagram, keeping a low profile.
Low profile as always a bit.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. So yeah, obviously, kind of on to the next one, and that's all around kind of work and career and stuff like that. So, we kind of touched on it at the beginning. You host your own podcast now. Is there any kind of career what ifs? What did you want to be when you were little? What was the dream?
Yeah, when I was little and I was first starting out, I wanted to be an actor for some reason. I loved the creative industries. I just thought it's amazing, you know what I mean? And I was watching film after film when I was a kid. Like, I was a big film geek, you know what I mean? I just sit in my room being that introverted kid watching film after film after film after film. I didn't really like speaking to people. I was a bit scared, nervous and shy. So I just isolated in my room with my films and that. But then that's what inspired me to try this acting stuff out. So I went to an acting school. And then not long after that, about a year in, I ended up getting a part in a feature film called Blood with Nick Murphy and Stephen Graham and Mark Strong and Paul Bettany, big stars in that.
Wow, yeah.
And that's what really switched my mindset when I was about 15 years old to think, actually, you put your mind to something you're not guaranteed you're going to win every time, but you got a good chance of moving closer towards your goals, aren't you? You know what I mean? So I just walked into the audition room. I remember now I had like little tattoo, little fake, like Spider-Man tattoos, but like not Spider-Man tattoos, but you know what I mean? Them water ones. I put them water tattoos on, and I tried to look all like gangster and all that bollocks. You know what I mean? But walked in there, 100% confidence, and I somehow smashed it and got the part. You know what I mean? So it was a really big eye opener. Just in the shift of my mindset was more important. You know what I mean? From there, ended up wanting to be an author because I was involved in a play with a woman who was like a novelist. So she really inspired me and thought, made me think, wow, if she's done loads of books, I can do a book too. I've got a book in me somewhere, I'm sure. So that's what started my journey into writing as well. So I ended up writing my first novel at like 15 to 18, got that sorted by that point. So I was young and ambitious, you know what I mean? I'm still young, touch wood, but I was just a young, ambitious kid, wanting the world, going after it, chasing my dreams, chasing my goals, and trying my hardest to conquer them as much as I could. But from there, that's when it sort of went downhill when I got into university. I got an unconditional offer, and everyone thought it was the greatest thing ever. But for me, I felt like something wasn't right. And that's when I started to my mindset started to shift a little bit. But on the outside, I looked like a success, Rob. Honestly, I was working with people like Lorraine Kelly, Amir Khan, Team GB, just to name a few names, at a big production company in Manchester I was working for as a runner. I was at university at the same time. But again, that relationship that I mentioned earlier, that 5-year relationship, started to turn toxic. So I had a lot of stress and pressure on me from family, friends, relationships, university, job. And I just crumbled, mate. And that's when I had my first mental health episode of psychosis, which was a scary one. But I can talk more about that if you want me to, but I want you to guide the conversation really, mate. You know what I mean? However you want me to talk.
No, that's absolutely right. What I didn't realise on our short friendship is how famous you are. You're dropping all these names left, right, and centre. Didn't know I was talking to a movie star. You haven't mentioned this yet. That's all good stuff, mate. I think and like you say, whilst it must have been really, really kind of bad at the time in terms of, like you say, it took a downhill, and I'm sure lots of people will be able to kind of relate to that in terms of, certainly when you think of the last 18 months, I'm sure people have kind of again took their own kind of downturn, and especially mental health is such a big thing at the moment. It's really good of you to kind of share that, and like you say, it's kind of led you to where you are now. Like you say, that drive has obviously helped you to get back up, hasn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Like, I've been sectioned twice, and I own that. That's my vulnerability. You know what I mean? But my vulnerabilities are my strength, because if it wasn't for me sharing these vulnerabilities, I wouldn't be able to speak on the stages that I spoke at. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation, what's led me up today with you. You know what I mean? So everything has a knock-on effect in a positive way and a negative way as well. But you've got to be aware of the negative and become focused on the positive. So when the negative gets too much, you can switch and change direction in the way you need to go. It's not always easy, Rob. This morning, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling it. I'm not feeling it today, but I was like, I will commitment to Rob, and we will do this podcast. That's why I sent you that message, just checking it was still on.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and just talk to us a bit about that, like, because to kind of those listening, obviously, I include myself in that. We'll have no idea what that kind of Lorraine Kelly world, Amir Khan, Team GB, all that world will mean nothing to us other than kind of what we see on social media, on TV. So let's just peel the curtain back on that a little bit more. What was that like from kind of your experience?
It was amazing. I was only 19 at the time, about 18. I was working, my first little TV stint was on a pilot, which didn't make it anywhere, but it was a great experience. It had people like Vicky Hatton in it. It had Kieran Griffiths, who was out of Shameless, the guy who played Mickey out of Shameless. He was in it, and I was buzzing to meet him. I was like, oh my God, I'm starstruck here, meeting all these celebrities and famous people like from a young age. And I was just really excited by it. But it was a good director who was on the set of Lorraine Kelly. It was like a JD Williams advert, I think, for women. I can't think what the director. I'm trying to think what the director's name is, but it's back in my head somewhere. If it pops up, I'll let you know. But he was such a nice man, and I was trying my hardest to impress him and get him the brews, get him the coffees, and look after everyone, and run around the set like a maniac, just looking after everyone. And he said, "Oh, Jack, where do you see yourself in like the future?" And I said, "One day I want to be in your shoes." Like that. And I was dead bold. Everyone just went quiet and looked at me like that. I was like, "Oh my God." And he went, all right. He went, "Come here, young man." I went, "All right, sound." And walked up to him and he went, "I would like to have a go at directing then." I was like, no. He went, yeah. I've got a video. I'll send you the video. I've got one of the lads recorded it for me. And I was just there on the set, just like telling Lorraine Kelly what to do in that for about 10 minutes. And he was like, tapped me on the shoulder and said, well done, mate. Well done. Now go and get me a brew. You know what I mean? It was one of them like surreal moments where when I told my family and they seen the video, they're like, no way, I can't believe you just did that. You know what I mean? So
and it all comes back, like you say, doesn't it, to that kind of leadership, that ability of that director to kind of give you that opportunity, like that will resonate. It certainly resonates with me in terms of kind of, I think we talked about it before when I was obviously in retail now, and I'm in HR. When I was in retail, certainly kind of two managers stick out in my head around that kind of experience of going, them asking you the question, or me obviously in this scenario, the question of where do you want to be, what do you want to do, and kind of having that, quite unquote, having the balls to say, I want to be where you are, and always saying like, I'm coming for your job ultimately. And then and I think good managers react positively to that, and like you say, give you the opportunity to do it. I think I'm sure we've both come across people that wouldn't have given us those opportunities.
Could have gone the wrong way. Could have gone like, little bastard. You know what I mean? But he was just so genuinely nice guy. You know what I mean? He said, "Come on, then." You know what I mean? That was it. Got his name, John Wright. Big shout out to John Wright. Thank you, mate, if you're listening.
and you, like you say, you remember these people. You're talking. You're 25 now. That was 18, 19. That's obviously a number of years ago now. But that experience, like you say, sticks out to you, doesn't it? So that can only be a good thing in terms of it's obviously stuck with you, and someday you'll and like I said at the beginning, you kind of gave me that with this. So do you know what I mean? It's all about kind of paying it back, isn't it? Ultimately, you end up paying it back. So I think you're absolutely right. That was a really good kind of example of what if moments, because it led you on to the next one and the next one, and to where you are now, isn't it?
Where we am now,
on to kind of our last one, and this one is where I get a little bit kind of nervous because I hand it over to you ultimately. In that it's the wild card. Obviously, you kind of you take the floor, Jack.
Right. So this is where I ask you a question. Yeah.
Well, this is where you kind of give me your kind of personal what if, and then obviously I don't know what that is. So I'm very much kind of reacting to you in terms of kind of what your experiences are. So it's not constrained to job or love or anything like that. It is just a what if moment that kind of let happen in your life.
It's coming. Right, are you ready? So my wild card is, where would I be now if I never got on well with bipolar and got a section twice? Boom. It's a big one, that, innit?
Yeah, and where do you think you would be in terms of, because obviously that and you talk about this as much as you want, but I'm assuming that is part of what led to kind of that 5-year relationship not going well, and the kind of the ripple effect, in terms of kind of, so where do you think you would have been kind of had that not happened?
Well, I think if I didn't get on well twice on 2 occasions and have to battle with the demons of bipolar, I think I'd still be working in the creative sector, and I think I would have progressed further, possibly even into like producing or something like that, or even potentially have my own little media company. You know what I mean? Because that's what thoughts I had in my head back then. You know what I mean? I was trying to create opportunities for myself, and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm creating opportunities for myself here, but I'm not getting the paid. You know what I mean? I'm not getting paid well for it, but I'm creating them opportunities. So I had that entrepreneurial spirit then. So I thought, if it wasn't for the situations and circumstances of how my life has led so far now, up to this point, possibly I'd be a lot further ahead. But would I have helped as many people as I have? I don't think I would have either on that spectrum.
No, because you would have been lost in the grind of that, wouldn't you? You were by the sounds of it in the kind of the motion of it, in the grind of it, and then obviously what happened causes you to kind of stop pushing forward with that, doesn't it? And then, like you say, if you were heads down pushing forward with your own stuff, Are you then, like you say, are you then as heads up helping others? Possibly not. But then you achieve what you want to achieve. So it's very interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? Of
it would have been more selfish,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I would have been able to get to a certain level to be able to then start doing what I'm doing now. Because I always had this image in my head. I thought, I'm not successful enough to be able to give back yet. It's a weird spectrum, you know what I mean, to think on land levels. But now I think, well, you know what, Jack? I've gone through all this life experience. I've written 2 books with dyslexia. I've got in Waterstones. I grafted to get in there. I've hustled my way forward. I'm still my own person at the end of the day, but I've just took a different route. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've still got the potential there to make something of myself and be as big as I want to be. But it's all about getting there sensibly. You know what I mean? Without making myself unwell. You know what I mean?
And I thought to myself, like you say, and I thought to myself when I came up with this concept, this idea, I thought to myself, but I don't know anyone that's gonna want, like, am I the only one that thinks the way I'm thinking? Is this a viable idea? And then, like you say, actually, I have had a number of jobs. I have worked in a number of sectors. So I've worked in retail, hospitality, now HR. I know a wide variety of people that have different experiences. Like, we're a couple of guests in now, and do you know what I mean? In terms of each person's been different. We've had a different experience every time. Yours is obviously very different to the other people that have come on so far. But do you know, it all adds, there will be people out there that will absolutely relate to that. And that's what I love about this, is that people are picking it up. They are relating to kind of the different subjects. And I think you're right. There's an element of it almost comes back to imposter syndrome, doesn't it? Of am I good enough?
Am I qualified? Am I good enough? Am I got what it takes? Have I got the mentality? When you start questioning yourself, that's when you need to just do it. Because that's at that point, it's like, look, you stop questioning yourself, start doing it. And you'll find out whether you're good enough. And the market will decide, the cards will fall when they fall. But it shouldn't stop you from going after it. Because the only way you know if it's a mistake is until it's after the event. And I don't think it's a mistake, Rob. I think it's a positive thing what you're doing, and it's really brought out, stuff that I've not shared before online. You know what I mean? What sort of person? Well, the only time we have a conversation like this is when you're in the pub, innit?
And this is how I'm trying to capture this. I guess that's what I want this to feel like to people that come on, and that's really good that that's how you feel, because that's how I want it to feel for everyone. Is that it's just a conversation. You know, do you mean? I want you to kind of be comfortable enough to share experiences that then gets out to the wider world. People can relate. People then want to share their own stories because it's similar, or we've had shared experiences, whatever it may be.
Of course.
But I think that's certainly the kind of the best feedback I've had so far, is that's you feel how I want it to feel. So that's really good.
That's what I mean, because it's like, some people might feel a bit vulnerable online talking about this thing, knowing that it's going out on your channels and stuff like that. But it's like, it's the first time I've ever had a conversation with someone like in like a professional way / mate way as well. Talking about girls online. Come on, I wonder what responses you get when you talk about relationships and girls and stuff online.
and this is the thing. So like we kind of touched on, I am slightly older than you, so I'm probably of a slightly different generation in terms of that. You're probably on the end of that generation that were meeting girls in pubs, whereas that was very much how we did it as I was going out. There wasn't as much social media, there wasn't as much kind of internet dating and stuff. Obviously, I've been with my wife for 7 years now. We've been together a long time. It is a very different experience, but we can all relate to that feeling of being in the pub with your mates, seeing people. That doesn't change, I don't think, no matter what generation you are.
Nah, it won't. Because everyone goes out to socialise at the weekend. And that means when there's people socialising, things are going to happen, aren't there? Things are going to start popping up.
That's been really good, Jack. And thank you for your time today. Everyone, if you can follow the socials, subscribe, like on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere you get your podcasts. And we'll see you again next time.